Hello, 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 it is Millerboy here. So today guys, I'm going to be showing you part 4 of how to make a quest for Skyrim using the creation kit. Now first of all, I recommend you go back and watch in the previous part so you don't get confused about what we're doing today. And secondly, I'd like to just go over what we did in part 3. So what we basically did is we made some aliases, we made some objectives, and we put them together, and we've got a real nice thing going on now. So once we start the quest, we pops up with our first objective, to kill the bad guy. And we've got a nice arrow on the map and in-game pointed to the enemy. And, well, that was all working fine. But there was a small problem, which I mentioned briefly at the end of the tutorial. Once we'd killed that bad guy, which I didn't because I kind of failed. He was a bit too badass for me. But if we had killed that bad guy, then, well, it wouldn't actually advance the quest because we've not done anything in the creation kit to say when that enemy dies to move the stage on to stage 20, which, as we all know, is the stage of, when the enemy's died and we need to get the sword out of their body, etc. So that's what we're going to be doing today, and a few other things. And the way we're going to do this is with scripts. So you're probably thinking, oh no, scripts, code, programming, I'm going to fail at this, I'm a noob. Well, don't worry, I'm going to make it really easy to understand, and it's going to be a breeze. So let's get started. So like I said, we're going to start off with the enemy and fixing the problem, about it doesn't move on the stage when they die. So let's go and find our enemy actor. So go into actors, actor, and then just look wherever your enemy is. MOD, there's mine, mod enemy. So go ahead and open them up. And now, like I said, we're doing scripts today, so we're going to go to this script section. So we want to make a new one. So we're going to click Add, and a window should pop up. And at the top, it should say New Script. Just go ahead and double-click that, and it will ask you for a name. Now, that's the only thing you need to fill out in this window, just name. So this is basically like the ID. So I'm just going to go with something like, I don't know, what do you reckon? Mod, enemy, script, why not? Go for it. Okay. And once you've done that, it has errors while loading, it will not be added to the object. Okay, if you get a message like that, just ignore it and try it again. Don't know what that was about, sorry about that guys. So let's just try with a different name. I think that may be because I was testing this before I started this video, and I've already used that, that ID for this script. So I'm going to go with mod enemy code, whatever, same thing. Okay. Happy days, there it is. So once you've got your script in there, what you want to go and do is, before we go and actually put some code into it, we want to create a property for it. Now, a property is basically a way to reference to things outside of the script. So we're going to reference to our quest, so we can advance the stage. So the way we do that is we select our script, click Properties, and then you want to click Add Property at the bottom of this window. And again, it's going to ask you for a name, but first of all, we need to do type. So in type, you guessed it, we're going to be looking for quest. So find quest, and then in name, you can actually name this what you want, and then after this, set the value of this property. But a little cheaty way is if you actually give the name the same ID as your quest. So in my case, it's MODQuest. What will happen is, you don't have to fill all the other stuff out, just leave the rest blank. What will happen if you click OK now, the property will pop up, and when you click on it, I should say, in pick object, it's already filled it out for us. If we had put something else like just quest, for instance, then we'd have to go manually in this drop-down menu and select it. So that's just like a little bit of speed going on there if you do it that way. So yeah, that's just a little tip. So once you've done that, go ahead and click OK. Now we want to actually, get started with the code. So click on your script, right-click it, and click Edit Source. And you should get a little window like this. Now just go down a few lines, give yourself some space. And the first thing we're going to do is we want to know when the sorry about that. We want to know when the actor has died. So the way we do that is with an event. We wait for an event, and that event is on the death. So I'll explain this in a second. So you want to write event on death, and then you want to do 2 brackets, and in the brackets, this is just a little bit of a fun fact actually. I'll show you about now. You want to put actor and then something like killer. That doesn't really matter, but I'll explain what I've just put now. So I'm waiting for an event. Once the event on death, which is when the actor's died, it will call the event on death. So when the event on death has happened, events can actually store information. So what I've done in these little brackets is I've got the information from the event of who killed this NPC. And I've stored it in a variable killer. Now I could call this, I could just put some random letters here, but every time I wanted to refer to whoever killed this NPC, I'd have to put killed etc, whatever, something like that. So that's basically what a variable is, and you know, how you can get information from your event. Now, this actor killer, we actually won't use it today, but that was just a little fun fact to say in the future if you wanted to do something to, like, this is just an example, it's not really what the code would be, but if you wanted to say, for instance, once the player has killed the enemy, them to get, I don't know, 1,000 gold, you could do killer dot give 1,000 gold, something like that. So that's basically what that kind of stuff does. But we're not actually going to be using actor killer today, but there's no harm in leaving it there. So after that, you want to start a new line now. And what we want to go and do is basically, once the actor's died, we want to just, you know, move the stage on. So we have to refer to our property here, which just happens to be the ID of our quest. So type in MODQuest. And you should be used to this now. We want to do a SetObjectiveDisplayed and a SetStage. And then, you know, remember the little brackets, and then it's stage 20, isn't it? Yep. And then you want to do the same thing again on a new line, but this time it is SetStage. And again, it's stage 20. So now, on the next line, what we need to do is we need to close this event off, because once the game has run the code underneath that event, it won't know when to stop. It's like, is this event finished yet? Am I waiting for something? What do you want me to do? We need to tell the game that this event is finished now. So the way we do that is we put end, and then event, like that. So basically, what this little piece of code does now, it says, it waits for the event OnDeath. Here, it says, it waits when the event OnDeath has happened, it gets some information for us and stores it in the variable killer, which we don't actually use, but like I said, that was just a little fun fact. And then, once that event has happened, it will run some code. It will set the objective displayed to 20, and it will set the stage to 20, and I've just put a capital T, my bad. So it will set the objective displayed to 20 and the stage to 20, and then after that it will end the event. That's basically all you need to do to advance our quest on. So once you've done that, you want to compile it by pressing Ctrl+S to save, or File, Save. And if you've done everything right and you don't have any errors, you should get Save Succeeded, and it should say Succeeded down here. If you get any errors, just go back and make sure everything's the same as it is here. Pause the video if you need to, and you know, just make sure you've spelt everything correctly. So once you've done that, you can click X, and then you can click OK down here. So what we've done now is basically, if we went into game now, we could kill the enemy, and it would advance the stage on to stage 20, and we get the objective to say, you know, get the sword out of its body. But once we've got that sword, it wouldn't advance it anymore. So we need to solve that problem now. So the way we do that is we need to go and find our weapon, or whatever item you've created. So it's in items, and then whichever one yours is in. Mine's a weapon. So go into weapon, and then mine was the legendary sword, and I started off with the mod ID, like always. So once you've found your item, open it up. And again, items have script sections as well. So you basically just do the same thing to get started. Add for a new script, and I'm just going to keep the same kind of ID. Mod sword code. There we go. And then click OK again. And like before, we need to create a property to our quest. So click Properties, Add Property, and then we want to look for Quest. Where did it go? There it is. And then name, again, going to use a little trick by putting the ID in here. Click OK. And just to double check, click on it. Yep, it's picked the right object. We can click OK. So once you've done that, again, right click it and click Edit Source. Now in this bit, again, we're going to be waiting for an event. So, but this time, you know, we can't find out when the weapons died, because, you know, weapons can't die. That's a bit silly. We want to wait. We want to, you know when the sword has moved from the enemy to the player. So we find that out by using the event OnContainerChanged. And basically what that is every time the weapon moves from one place to another, it runs that event. So that starts off like this: event, and then OnContainerChanged, and then again we need them brackets at the end. Always remember the brackets, and we actually want to get some information that we're going to use this time from the event. And that information is one, the new place it's been moved to, so the new location. And second thing we need is the old location. We actually don't use old location right now in this piece of code, but it's useful for the future if you want to do other things, etc. So the way we get them is, and now this needs to be in the right order, because the game doesn't know what order you're putting it in, so they have a set order. So the first thing you need to put is the new object, the new location. So because it's an object reference, the new location, we start it off by putting object no space, don't put a space, reference, sorry if I spell this wrong, reference, yep, that's right, and then space, and now this is where we put the variable name. So again, you can put whatever you want here for the variable, because you know, you can call it what you want, as long as you refer to it as the same thing in the code in a minute. So, I'm just going to call it something like new container, because it's the new, oh, put a capital O, that wouldn't really matter, I could leave the capital O if I wanted to, but you know, just make things look nicer. Going to go like that, and now to separate different pieces of information, we put a comma, and then you can, you know, start with the second piece. So I'm going to put a space, and then do the same thing again, but this time I'm going to give it a different variable name. It needs to be different. Container, there we go. So what this piece code does is basically it waits for the event of, you know, when the weapon is changed containers, and once it has, it gives us some information. It gives us the new container, and you know, stores that in the variable new container. And then the second thing it does is it gets, you know, whatever the old container was and stores it in the variable old container. So once we've done that, you know, we want to advance the stage. So, you know, new line, but there's a little problem, because if we just, you know, put in here now, you know, set the object to 30 and the stage to 30, then every time the sword moves places, whether it be the player or another NPC, etc., it would run, you know, that piece of code of setting the stage. And we don't want that. We only want it to happen when it's moved to the player. So the way we do that is by checking it with an if statement. And you're probably wondering, what's an if statement? Well, basically, you give an if statement a condition, and if that condition is true, then it runs the code underneath it. So I'll show you now. So you want to start an if statement off with if, and then you want space, and then some brackets, and then in them brackets, you give it the condition. Now the condition is like, you know, you've done these before inside the creation kit. You know, if something is true, then whatever it's related to happens. And in this case, if the statement is true, then the code underneath is executed. So the condition we're looking for is if the new container, and remember it needs to be the same as the variable you've given it up there. So if new container, and remember when we're doing comparisons between things, we don't put 1 equals, we put 2 equals. Because if we put 1 equals, then that would say the new container equals whatever we're going to put next. But we want to see if the new container equals whatever we're going to put next. So new container, and then double equals, then space. Now we want to know if the new container equals the player. So the way we, you know, find out, you know, get a reference to the player is by using, it's kind of like a global property. You write game, and that's basically a global property that you can use throughout all your scripts that you use in the game. And you put game dot, and then I believe it is getPlayer, like that. I put a capital L. Let me just get rid of that. So Game.GetPlayer, and you need to remember you need 2 more brackets there. It may look a bit weird at the end, but you need to have you know, brackets for the Game.GetPlayer as well. So once you've done that, it should say if new container, and then double equals Game.GetPlayer, then execute the code underneath. So let's put some code. So again, this is similar to earlier. We just want to, you know, set the objective and the stuff referring to our property, which again just happens to be our ID. So have I put full stop or a comma? Full stop, there we go. So set, you should all be, you know this off by heart now. Obviously I don't, because I keep making spelling mistakes. And then remember, we're doing stage 30 this time. And then same thing again. And then set stage. Oh my god, why do I keep putting capital letters? Let me go back, and I put a comma, OMG, let me go back, full stop, there we go, happy days. So, now, what we've done is we've waited for the event of when the container's changed, so it's going to run the code underneath it. Now, if the new container that it's moved to equals the player, then, you know, set the objective displayed to 30 and set the stage to 30. Happy days. Well, no, because remember, we need to end the event, but we also need to end the if statement, because if we had just simply put end event, then okay, it's ended the event, but it's not ended the if statement. So this may be a bit confusing now, but if, say, for instance, the new container wasn't the player, then that end event would be part of the if statement, so it wouldn't run end event and you'd have some problems. So we need to end the if statement, basically. So if you didn't get what I was saying then, basically we just need to end the if statement. So you put end again, and then just put if. So basically that ends the if statement, then it ends the event. So that's all you need to do for the weapon now, or your item. So click File, Save, or Control S. And if you've done everything right, well hey, save succeeded. Happy days. So X, then click OK, which I can't because my button is off the screen. So I just need to do that little trick. There we go. So, we've done it now. We can go in the game, we can kill the enemy. It will advance the quest on. We can get the sword out of the body, and it advances the quest on again. So we can go back to Billy Bob and say, because that dialogue option has popped up now, so we can say, I've got your sword. And then he'll say, oh, thank you so much. Here's 1,000 gold. Okay, that's cool. Well, wait a second. One, poor Billy Bob, we've not actually gave him his sword. And number two is, where the hell's our gold? Yeah, so we need to fix that right now. So the way we do that is we want to go to quest. So open character, go down to quest, and you simply want to find your quest. So mine's MODQuest. And then you want to go to quest stages. Well, actually, first of all, you want to go to quest aliases. Now, remember what you've named your aliases, because you're going to need them in a minute. Mainly your Billy Bob, the person who's giving you the quest, and your item. Just remember them two mainly. Now, go over to quest stages. The stage we want to look at is stage 40, because when we've actually when Billy Bob says here's 1,000 gold, if you remember, we set a bit of script in that to set the stage to 40, so that's how the quest would end. So when it gets to stage 40, we want to do two things. We want to give the sword back to Billy Bob, and we want to get our gold. So the way we do that is go into scripts in stage 40. If scripts is not available right now, just click 40, and then remember you're selecting your log, select your log entry, and then go into scripts, and then just leave a few lines. Now once you've done that, the first thing we want to go and do is give poor Billy Bob his weapon back. So the way we do that is we start off with something called like an alias. So put alias like this, then underscore. And basically what this tells the game the next piece of text we'll put in is going to be a reference to an alias within this quest. So now I need to put the name of Billy Bob. So alias Billy. I'm going to go through all this in a minute. I'm just going to write it down now. So you want to get a reference to Billy Bob, like that, and then you want to do your little brackets, and then after that you want to put a dot, then add item, because we're adding an item to Billy Bob, and then again some more brackets. Now we could just put the ID of the sword in here if we wanted to, but that would lead a problem. Billy Bob would get his sword back, but it wouldn't take it away from us. So we can kill two birds with one stone here. We need to actually reference to the sword inside the player. So the way we do that is, again, we use another alias underscore, but this time we refer to the sword. And you guessed it, we're going to do the get reference, because we're getting a reference to it. Did I spell that right? Yes, I did. And again, the brackets. So what this line of text does is it gets the reference to the sword, basically, and it adds that to Billy Bob. And, in turn, it takes it away from us, because it's talking about one object in the game, which is on the player, and it's taken away from us, and it's giving it to Billy. End of story. Happy days. Now, before we move on to the bit where we give ourselves some gold, we actually, the game doesn't know anything. This quest doesn't know anything about gold, so we need to create a property that refers to gold in the game. So the way we do that is we go down to properties again, like we did with when we were referring to a quest. And as you see, them property names, they were the same as what we were referring to down there, because the game automatically creates them. But you don't need to bother with them, because the game does that for you. Anyhow, we're making a new property and we're referring to gold. So click add property. Now this time in type, we actually need to look for MISC object. There it is, because gold is classed as a MISC object. Now in name, of course, again, you can put whatever you want in here, but a little trick, because the actual object of gold is actually gold 001, we're just going to do that. So we're going to actually put the ID of gold, so it'll auto pick it for us. Now you're probably thinking, why have Professor chose to put 001? Well, it's just a thing that they've always did, because basically what it just means one piece of gold, so they've just kept it like that. So click OK once you've gave it a name or use the ID, and then once it popped up, let's just check. Yep, it worked fine. It picked the object for us. If you used a different name, of course you could just scroll through and look for gold 001 and click that yourself. Anyhow, once you create the property, click OK, and now you want to move down to a new line of text. So hit return, and then you want to give the gold to the player. So first of all, we need to get a reference to the player. So again, we use that global property that we used earlier. Then we put get, and then player, and then remember the brackets, and then we want to put dot, and like we did for Billy Bob, we want to do add item, and then some more brackets. Now, we're not referring to something that's already in the game, because we don't want to take it from anyone. We just want to, put it straight, straight into our player. So we're just going to refer straight to the ID, or the property in this case. So, what we're going to do is, put the property name, which happens to be the ID, gold 001. So, there we go. The player gets some gold. But wait a second. How much gold? One piece of gold. That's not good. So the way we give more is we put a little comma, a space, and then we just put the amount. So I could put loads like that, but I think Billy Bob promised us just 1,000. So let's take a few zeros off that. So there we go. Happy days. So click compile now. And if everything goes right, you shouldn't get any errors. Yep, everything looks fine. So you can click OK. So there we go, guys. We've sorted out all the problems now. We can go into the game now. We can advance on the quest, get to the very end, give the sword back to Billy Bob, and, get our gold for our hard work. So, yeah, let's go and see if that works properly, though. So, let's just minimize that. And click save, remember. Always remember to save. And I will see you in game. Okay, guys, so here we are outside the Riverwood Sleeping Giant Inn. And, we're going to get, start the quest fresh now and see if everything's working fine. So, well, actually, I'd like to say, I think this is the first time it's been a nice sunny day in this quest tutorial. Sorry if I'm just getting mixed up, but it's lovely, nice and lovely, nice chicken, boy, just chilling. I'm getting a bit sidetracked here, let's just go in. Sorry about that. Alright, here we go. In we go, in we go. Now, where's our lovely Billy Bob? There he is. Ooh, he's not in his usual sitting place, but he might fancy the change. Now, let's talk to him. Well, actually, voice file's working lovely.
Oh, thanks so much.
Yep, they're working fine. It's nice expressions. Yep, we've started it. It's looking good so far. Quest objectives, working good. Let's see if it's popped up in the quest log fine. Yes, it has. Set it as our main quest. We've got the nice arrows going on. So now for the moment of truth. Let's go and kill that enemy. So I'm just going to, go to where we place the enemy quickly using the cock command. No, it's not a rude. It's not supposed to be something rude. It's just, how they did it. Now, obviously, your enemy will be wherever you've placed them. Dungeon, cave, Sovereign Guard. Wherever you put them.
It was you who convinced the Jarl to trap the dragon.
Let's go. Here we go. Here we go. Now, if you remember from part 3, I kind of failed and got pooned by this guy because, obviously he's got the legendary sword, which is pretty badass. So, I'm going with God mode this time. And I've got Lydia in here, so I think we'll poon him. Right, here we go. Where is he? Or she. Oh, look at it. It's a she. Down you go. You're going down, my friend. I know, my character's pretty low level right now. Sorry about that. Lydia should be coming down in a minute, though.
That's your best, huh?
Come on, get down. Oh, look at that. A little bit of a combo with Lydia there. Thank you very much. So I've killed them. Look at that, lovely. Objective completed. We've killed the bad guy. And, our next objective is to get that sword. So let's search the body. And it's not on there. So remember, guys, sometimes weapons can be separated from the body. And in this case, it has. There it is. Legendary sword. Look at that damage and value. Whew. Amazing. And look at that lovely weight of 0. Anyhow, let's pick it up and see if the quest objective changes. Look at that. It's telling us to return straight to Billy Bob. So as you can see, them 2 scripts that we've put there on the enemy and on the item have worked fine so far. So let's go back to Billy Bob. I'm just going to use a little cheat command. What is it? Riverwood. Sleeping. Oops, sleepong. No. Sleeping. Double N. No. What am I doing? Sleeping. My bad. Sorry about this, guys. Sleeping Giant Inn. Happy days. Here we go. So let's find Billy Bob. Our arrow should lead us to him on this long journey across the room. There he is.
This better be
Put my weapon away. So let's talk to him and see if it's all working fine. I have your sword.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, lovely voice file. Lovely, lovely jubbly. He's got his sword. We've got our gold, and the quest is completed. Let's just double check it's completed. Quests. Go down to our completed quest. There is Billy Bob's adventure. And as you can see, the quest log says, I got some dosh. We've completed the objective. Lovely, guys. We've actually officially completed this quest. Well, nearly. There's actually a few bugs. One of them bugs is we could have went up and killed the enemy before we start the quest and ruining it completely. Number 2, we could have pickpocketed from the enemy, meaning that, we wouldn't have completed the objective of killing him. Another thing is that if we try and take the sword off Billy Bob now, it'll keep going back into him, because, you know, that container problem, every time it goes towards it goes straight, you know, and no, it just messes up. So watch, if I try and pickpocket him now, and take the sword off him, oops, sorry about that. Yep, he's still got the sword. So there is still a few bugs, like you can see. So we're going to be sorting these little problems out to try and make our quest as bug-free as possible in the next part of this tutorial. But other than that, the quest is completed. So after this, the little bugs tutorial, the bugs part that I'm going to do after this video, we're going to be doing one more, which is extras that, you know, you don't need to watch if you don't want to, but it's going to be like making Billy Bob into a follower after we've completed the quest. And, you know, other things like, you know, making his attack voice and his hellos and goodbyes actually sound like me, not you puny weakling in an orc voice, but my voice specifically. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'm going to just teach Billy Bob a lesson right now. But I'll see you next time. We're going to be sorting out the bugs. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.